I'm Kira. I am 21 years old and I am based out of Asheville, North Carolina. I'm a filmmaker. I have directed about 50 short films / music videos, and I love to seek out the magic in everything, which is why I make films. It's just to find the magic in people's stories and just the hidden magic of everything. So I guess I will talk about just my identity. So I like to wear ties sometimes, and sometimes I feel, I guess, masculine. Sometimes I feel not so masculine. I just kind of fluctuate. And I think I've been on a sort of journey of trying to figure out, like, who am I really? Like, what, am I more this, am I more that? And a lot of that has been tied to also just my sexuality and wanting to, I guess, subconsciously, I've been trying to almost label myself just to fit in, to understand who I am. I've had a lot of encounters with a lot of guys in the film industry. So I guess with my magic-seeking soul, I've always wanted to have like a fairy tale romance, you know? So I've always just been prioritizing love over everything. So I always have crushes on people, lots of different kinds of people. Since I'm only 21, but I've already, for like the past 3 or 4 years, been traveling to film festivals. So I've come across a lot of older guys who just, they're not like fairy tale people, but being young and wanting love and all that. I had so many encounters with people that just, yeah, are not the best. There's always like a strange dynamic, just knowing that I'm like this young person who's really, like, I was pursuing directing. I was really like, yeah, this is so magical, this is so cool, these are the films I've made. And then, I don't know, I guess they felt like they could take advantage of that, that innocence, even though I still feel that way. That doesn't change how I feel about the world. But there was this one time when I was living in New York that I went on this date with this guy who was a bit older than me. And he was a producer, and it ended up being like one of the scariest experiences ever, where we were just gonna meet up at a restaurant, which is totally fine because we're in a public space, you know. But then afterwards, he was like, "Oh, let's go back to my place and watch a movie, and I'll make more dinner. We'll just have an appetizer here." And I'm like, "Oh, okay," because I was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch a movie. It sounds reasonable, you know." And yeah, so we went back to his place, and then slowly there's just little details emerging that just were kind of little red flags, you know. He started talking about how he like suddenly got a text and it was a knife emoticon, some other weird stuff, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it's this crazy psycho girl that I went on this date with. It was just a crazy time," and he was very elusive about it. He didn't really give any more details. I'm like, okay. And I was like, no judgment, you know, I don't know his backstory, I don't know who she is, and maybe, like, you know, he did get involved with someone who was, I don't know, who knows, I'm not gonna judge. But then I just started feeling more and more anxious because he was cooking me dinner, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I was getting kind of nervous because he was cooking dinner with like big knives, you know, and I know this sounds crazy, I have like a big imagination, but I was just like, oh my God, I'm like in this guy's apartment, and he's like cooking me a meal, and he has these large knives, and he just talked about this crazy girl who sent him pictures of knives, and then he starts playing in the background is like really like hardcore rap that's very, just the kind of stuff that I had not been exposed to much. I was like 18, and there's like all this very demeaning stuff. I don't know, so he was just really into what he's listening to, and I was like, okay, no judgment, it's completely okay. Some people are into different things. Even though I don't really understand it, it makes me feel uncomfortable, it's like, you know, whatever. It doesn't mean anything about him. And I kept on staying in that mindset, which was to my detriment, I guess. Like, I think that's something that has, that I still hold on to, because I think it's really, in my perspective, it's important to never judge anyone and to never assume anything about anyone, regardless of any of that, what they listen to, you know, you never know the whole story. But at the same time, I think there's a balance in that, where like when there's many red flags, many indicators, you need to take note of that and then, you know, protect yourself. But in this case, I was very just looking for the best in the situation, like, oh, it's fine, like this, the music is listening to, it's very demeaning and kind of scary, and like you get this strange text and he's talking in a weird way about someone else. I'm getting weird vibes. I don't really feel into this guy. I feel kind of nervous and scared around him. He's really dominant. And then he ends up telling me, and again, it's gonna sound crazy, but I'm very open about all this stuff, but he tells me that he is an adult novelist, and he like writes adult fiction. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool, you know? I'm like, wow, where am I? Like, who am I with, you know? But again, no judgment. But then he starts telling me more about like what he's into, and he's like all into S&M stuff. And again, no judgment, but at this time I'm 18. I don't know much about anything. So in this point, I just feel like completely out of my element. And there's this guy who has this very dominating energy. It's very obvious that he just wants to have sex with me, you know? And I don't. So just kept on escalating, and then he's told me more about this girl and how he like went to this room, and it was kind of like 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing, where he's just like describing, he's like, I went to this room and she was crazy and we're like locked in there, and then anyways, it was very fascinating but also really intimidating. And eventually he started making advances on me, and I remember just like kind of like spazzing out in terms of the way I was communicating, because I think my defense mechanism is to smile. So I'm just smiling. I'm like, oh no, like that's not me. Like I'm Kira Bursky, and I'm talking in third person, like being a spaz, trying to defend myself, but also not knowing how to. He's like, he started kissing me, and I really didn't want that, but I didn't, you know, I was like not sure what to do. And then he's like, this is so creepy and so scary. This is when I thought I was actually gonna be murdered. He's like, you should thank me. And I was like, I should thank you? He was like, you should thank me because usually I'm strangling the girl, I'm whipping the girl, I'm like beating the girl. And he lists off all of these things about like attacking me and hurting me. And like, he's like, I'm like on the couch, and you know what I mean? Like, I have no way to get out. So I'm just like, and then he's like pressuring me into say, he's like, thank me. And I'm like, you know, and eventually I'm like, thank you, because I don't want him to hurt me, you know? And because I was like, I mean, overall, I was scared that he actually might kill me. So eventually, I don't remember all the details, but like he just said some really scary stuff, and eventually I was like, it's really late, I need to get an Uber, and so I got my phone and just like did it, and then managed to get out of the house before it like escalated anymore. I guess like circling back to identity things, which is what I was going to talk about. I think throughout all these experiences, so I don't want to label myself, but like I guess with a label in mind, I'm pansexual, which means I like all kinds of people, regardless of whatever. I just am a people person. And so then there's a bit of time where when I had these negative experiences with guys, I really, really wanted something magical and something loving and something true. And I still had this fairy tale outlook. I was like, oh, I need to make an effort to make this fairy tale happen. Something really pure and really loving. And so then I thought maybe if I'm with girls, it'll be better. Maybe it'll be just more kind-hearted and I won't experience this stuff. So then I started dating, like going on a few dates with girls, and the experiences were not bad experiences, but the craziest thing that happened, and this is like aside the point, was just that I realized that a lot of the people that at least I've interacted with, just in terms of our culture, there's this like majorly rushed emphasis on things that I've experienced time and time again, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but I've realized it's been really hard to just, I guess, regardless of gender and all that, I've had a lot of interactions with people that just are like, there's a lot of pressure to jump into things and to like be sexual or to do stuff, and sometimes it's hard to like really to not stand up for like how you're feeling, but just to, you know, like on my end of things, I really wanted to like lovingly connect with someone and not jump into anything, but like time after time was just like surrounded by this culture of like, let's hook up, let's do something, it doesn't really matter. But for me, I wanted something that mattered, you know? Anyways, so back to the identity thing. So I was like, maybe I should just be with girls because like X, Y, and Z, and I should like dress a certain way. And so I went through this whole journey of like, who am I? How do I present myself so that I can live the life that I want? How do I bring in the right energy? But ultimately, what I've discovered is that there's no set way to be. There's no labels only exist because we allow them to exist. I don't have to be one thing over the other. And in fact, in any moment I can change how I'm feeling just depending on the moment and who I meet. So anyway, so I guess I've discovered that, you know, I'm just me. I view the world the way I view the world, and I love people, and I've had some scary experiences where there was like a disconnect in terms of that, but that doesn't mean I should stop viewing the world optimistically and loving people. And yeah, and sometimes I'm into whoever I'm into, and sometimes I want to wear certain things, and sometimes I don't. And I think that's the beauty of existing as a human being on this planet, is that we get to experience a diverse range of possibilities and colors and perspectives and ways of just existing in the world. I am really excited to be alive because every day, every moment, I have the opportunity to experience something new, to pursue something new, to talk to somebody new, to question something new. And so I think despite my experiences that could potentially pull me down, I love to use them as a way to learn and to realize that I have another moment to experience another moment on this earth, and to experience the diversity of being alive and the beauty of every moment, regardless of my fears and apprehensions. There's just so many magical moments that await all of us if we let them happen.